And first tonight, two big breakthroughs in two Portland homicide cases to tell you about. That includes the arrest of a suspect who police say shot 3 people within 48 hours. One of those, a daytime killing near a park. We'll have that for you in just a moment. But first, to an update in the case of Jacob Dreyer, this man here who was shot to death in a parking garage. Good evening. We have a lot to get to tonight. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. And we begin with that update. A 28-year-old man behind bars, accused of gunning down a man in a parking garage near the Oregon Convention Center. Our Mike Benner's live outside the Multnomah County Jail where the suspect's being held. And Mike, I know the victim's family was just devastated by his death. The news of this arrest must relieve them a lot.
Yeah, they're certainly relieved. They're not taking this for granted. They know a lot of cases like this don't get solved. In fact, so many of the homicides this year and last year have not been solved. So again, some relief for the family of Jacob Dreyer tonight. We can tell you that 28-year-old Lona Oconee Hudson made a brief court appearance this afternoon. It lasted only 3 minutes. Hudson pleaded not guilty to 1 count of murder and 1 count of unlawful use of a weapon, in this case, a firearm. We understand that Portland Police, U.S. Marshals, Vancouver PD, and Southwest Regional SWAT worked together to arrest Hudson for his role in the murder of Jacob Dreyer on February 26th. Around 7:15 that night, officers responded to reports of a shooting in a parking garage at Northeast 2nd and Holiday. That's when they found Dreyer shot to death. His niece says she knows next to nothing about the circumstances surrounding the shooting or the man arrested.
Because I'm like, who knows who this guy is? He's gone now, you know, with the way that Portland is. So I wasn't very hopeful. So it did bring some relief just for other people's safety and for like putting a face to, you know, who did it and then maybe hopefully finding out more.
All right, no bail for the suspect in this case. He remains behind bars in the jail behind us. His next court appearance is March 16th. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike. And Portland police have also arrested a man who they say shot 3 people in 2 separate incidents. One of them died. Joseph Banks is charged with killing Mark Johnson near Dawson Park last week. Police say Banks also shot 2 other people the day before. One of those shootings happened in the same spot in Dawson Park and the other a few blocks away. Banks faces a number of charges, including murder and attempted murder.
It's tragic, and my heart just goes out to these families.
You know, it's hard not to feel the hurt. Health officials, police, and Portland Public Schools all sounding a collective alarm, a warning tonight after 2 PPS students died in 24 hours. Now, police believe both teens overdosed after taking pills that looked like these, pills that turned out to be laced with fentanyl. Tonight, they're also telling us fentanyl deaths are spiking dramatically. Our Maggie Vespa joins us now. Maggie, officials say most of these victims really have no idea what they're taking.
Yeah, David, exactly. They say most buyers, including teens, think they're getting kind of more benign drugs like oxycodone, Xanax, or just more common ones. But this, they say, is a very common type. There's that photo, again, of counterfeit pill. They're small, they're blue, they're called M30s. You can see why that's stamped on the pill there. And they're often laced with fentanyl. It's a cheaper synthetic drug, 50 times stronger than heroin. Police say both PPS students were found with M30 pills. Officers found 1 teen dead on Sunday, the other on Monday, and both were, quote, high school age. Police are not releasing their names. They are warning that fentanyl deaths are on the rise, appearing to have doubled in Multnomah County between 2020 and 2021. We're seeing similar trends nationally, and the pain is all too familiar for Michelle Lee Stroh. She lives in Oregon City, and her son there, Keaton, overdosed on fentanyl in 2020 after buying pills that looked like Oxy.
These kids they all think it's not going to happen to them. And now we've got 2 more families that have joined us, this group of parents that have lost their kids to the fake pills. And it's devastating.
So we know this is a tough story for anyone struggling with addiction. Officials tonight reminding people or families seeking help they can call local crisis lines. In Multnomah County, that's that number there, 503-988-4888. 888. As for parents in general, health experts say let your kids know they can come to you with questions about drugs and warn them. First and foremost, they said, with today's story, warn your kids not to take any pills that don't come from a doctor. At this point, they say, unfortunately, it's very likely laced with fentanyl. David?
Maggie Vespa there. Thank you, Maggie.
Well, this is not news Seahawks fans want to hear. Russell Wilson may be leaving the team. Multiple reports say he's being traded to Denver. According to the NFL Network, the Denver Broncos are sending Seattle a massive haul in exchange for Wilson, including multiple first and second round draft picks. Russell has been with the Seahawks for 10 seasons. ESPN says the trade is pending a physical and Wilson's approval.
Well, enough is enough. That is the message tonight from community leaders in Portland's Old Town, where crime and problems stemming from mental health challenges, they say, are simply out of control. Now, Pat Doris is covering this for The Story. He joins us now with a bit of a preview here. Pat, what is striking here? They're not waiting. They've come up with their own specific plan to make progress here.
Well, that's right. City leaders apparently told them they had to do that before they'd see any action. Now they have. The community is frustrated and furious, taking the unusual step today of calling a news conference because Portland City leaders are so far not doing anything to help the area. Old Town is Portland's oldest neighborhood and includes Chinatown, Japantown, Ankeny Plaza, Skidmore, and the waterfront. If you went there right now, you'd see many tents on the sidewalks and likely run into someone with mental illness. Today, leaders demanded the city step in to help. They have specific goals they now want met. They want police to cut property crime by 40% over the next 90 days. They want 60 inches of clearance on all sidewalks, which means probably removing most of the tents. They want lighting to increase by 100%, and they want graffiti removed within 3 days. Elizabeth Nye is the executive director of the Lansu Chinese Garden and said it's past time for leaders to act.
As Portland's oldest neighborhood, home to immigrants who overcame decades of discrimination and indignity, and today home to so many who are fighting just to stay alive, we must do whatever we can to respond to the crisis of humanity unfolding around us, and we must do it today.
Now, I asked the mayor's office whether they would help Old Town meet their goals. His office responded with a supportive quote, calling the request reasonable. City Commissioner Mingus Mapps also said he supports the plan, especially improving the lighting and removing about a third of the tents off the sidewalks. At 6 tonight, we'll dig into the history of all this and explain how frustrations have really built up over the years. We'll also hear why one community leader thinks city leaders are afraid of doing anything to help because of activists on the other side. Back to you.
Thank you, Pat. We'll look for you tonight at 6 o'clock. Oregon has an atlas of bee species living here. And thanks to people like you, researchers have added hundreds of new types to the list. Galen Etlin explains.
When you think of bees, honey and a sharp stinger come to mind. But there are hundreds of other species out there.
Most bees don't live in hives, and most bees don't make honey. And also, most bees are not likely to sting you.
Lincoln Best is a bee taxonomist for the Oregon Bee Atlas.
150 specimens in each box.
He assesses tens of thousands of native bee records from around the state.
As you're trying to track down itty-bitty creatures that are everywhere.
It's a monumental task.
Oregon State University trains volunteers to collect and document bees for Best to assess. This latest round gave him 25,000 records to go over.
I spend about a year working on that material.
And the result was 224 newly added species to the Oregon Bee Atlas for a total of 650 known species. One was this bee that exclusively lives in holes of dried lava beds.
I'm kind of obsessed.
Why do you have that passion? Why is this work important to you?
It really provides a good foundation for studying other areas.
Documentation includes how bees interact with plants that need pollination from these little creatures to survive. And people rely on those plants too.
Seeds and nuts and fruits in flowering plants.
Many bees are threatened by impacts of pesticides and climate change, and data help find solutions.
It can aid forest managers and agriculturalists.
Best is now working to share research tools and training with other states and Canada to expand this work.
And so if we want to find out if things are getting better or getting worse, we need a high-resolution historical snapshot to compare things against.
And truly find the secrets of bees. Galen Etlin, KGW News.